Hi, welcome to the very first episode of Transcend. So with the ever-changing workforce landscape, Transcend is an initiative by Talent Recruit in collaboration with industry leaders who will be presenting their insights on driving organizational success by developing and building tech-driven processes for attracting, engaging, and empowering people. So I'm glad that we are starting our first ever episode with one of our first enterprise customers and also a very close friend of mine, Vijay Sivaram, CEO of Quess IT Staffing, Recruitment and Search business. So Vijay has been part of the founding team or leadership team at Quess Corp, which is a leading staffing and managed outsourcing service provider company across various regions of the world. So Vijay is a industry veteran, an outspoken leader, an investor, and I have always personally looked upon him for any advice pertaining to the industry. So welcome Vijay to the first ever episode of Transcend, and thank you for being part of our this initiative.
No, thank you so much, Alok. That was very kind of you. Extremely nice words from you. I must say, I also equally and mutually can say the same thing about you. I've seen this platform run by you and this company run by you over the years. I've seen it, and if I may use the word, transcend into a very strong and qualitative platform that has added a lot of value, not just to us, but to many other customers as well. So thank you so much. It's my privilege. I think at the end of the day, all of us are partaking in a journey to make lives better, and we should do it and try to do it in every form that we can.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Vijay, for your kind word and support so far. Coming back to our discussion topic today, so as a leader, you have been instrumental in implementing various digital transformation initiatives at Quest. You have been part of the Southeast Asian business, now managing the India and other businesses at Quest. So, of course, that is where our today's topic about the digital transformation, and if you see staffing and recruiting business success being driven through digital transformation and adoption of technologies and how it is impacting the staffing landscape. So, Vijay, what has been your experience thus far and takeaway from orchestrating digital transformation initiatives for Quest Corp?
Well, that's a very large question. I must say, it's not a easy question upfront. See, of course, I think it's always about knowing what is digital for you. I think it's very, very important for every organization or every leader to know what digital means for you. A lot of times I've seen making people making wrong decisions because they think digitalization of something will remove something or replace something or completely change the way you work. But I've always seen digital uh, drives to be enablers of what we can do. Um, as Six Sigma and Lean and a lot of efficiency systems got built in the yesteryear businesses, which still remain very relevant today. I think today digitalization of companies are also focused on how efficiencies can be improved and how can you do more with less. That being said, I think every digital journey here at Quest, I think, is about what is it doing for us? What can it do for us in the next 3 years? And can this help build the next 10-year journey? So I don't think so. There is ever a turn the key attitude where you just turn the key and something changes. This is a continuous journey, and this is a journey that one should always stay through, and one should also stay committed. Uh, it's also very, very important for you and for every leader to know that all digital journeys may not be successful, right? And therefore, it is also about accepting failure and making sure that the projects that you've taken are thought through and not just because somebody else did it because every organization, even if you are operating in the same industry, the same digital product may not necessarily be useful for one company versus the other. So, which is where I think if you look at the last few years, your bespoke, customized offerings of tools become different by the customer that you're servicing. And this is so true today in the digital world because you can get so enamored and so sucked into the system because everything you read is talking about something digital and then you want to implement it, but then later you realize that you burned cash to realize that it didn't fit your company or did your vertical or did your level. So in Quest, I think there's a well thought throughout process before any embarkation of the digital journey about how we're going to use it. What does it help us with? Is it disrupting something? Is it enabling something? Is it creating efficiency somewhere? How long does it take for us to take that journey? Who are the key people that need to be behind this journey? Who are the key tools? Which are the key tools that you will need to be partnering along with this journey? And then eventually, what is the ecosystem that Quest will play out for its customers, for its employees, and for its associates in the years to come? So I think once you do these kind of checks and balances, my take is most digital journeys will be successful. So I think that's what we've been doing, and we will continue to do. If anyone would come and tell me that I have implemented something and I'm done, I think then they've somewhere missed the gun because I don't think so. A digital embarkation is something that can have a start or a stop. It's a journey.
Got it. I think I could see that, when you talked about, accepting from the failures, as well, or accepting the failures or learning from the failures. Every transformation journey cannot be successful, but it gives you a learning. So I could see that when we started our journey with the Quest 2015, you did such a big, massive, change or initiatives to bring us and amend the way you have been working. And you have been one of the very key, I'll say, uh, or a leader within Asia Pacific who have been driving, building the platform initially and adopting various technologies in and around your platforms. I know a couple of platforms you built yourself, couple of platforms you enabled, and couple of and your eagerness to adopt technologies or to know more about how this can really transform your business, and that's where you're the industry leader. So great to understand that
So I've
perspective.
always said, Alok, that uh, if you are not trying to stay ahead of the curve, you will be behind the curve. You have to at least try. And in fact, there's a colleague of mine, and I keep telling this to a lot of people that I know, that he's got only one KRA. He should have more bots than recruiters at some point. So I think, I keep joking about the fact that at some point automation has to reach scale. And that's what Quest is all about. It's not that the human intelligence will ever go away. It's not that a recruiter will ever go. No, they all will continue to
Absolutely.
exist. But how do you enable those recruiter journeys to make them more efficient, make them more productive, will be the name of the game. And that can
Very good.
only be driven by tech.
No, absolutely. And I can tell you my experience because I've been part of this industry for quite long. So when we launched our platform in 2014, so we can see if I were to divide into three parts between 2014 to 2018, the organizations largely were hesitant or reluctant to adopt technologies. They were very happy to go manual, and we've seen pre-COVID between 2018 to pre-COVID situation that acceptance came in, but the leaders were still trying to evaluate, see that what are the success metrics, seeing the other organization they've been doing. And post-COVID, I think COVID has taught us a lot of lessons, where the people have been talking about hybrid work culture, and they really want to drive the success using technology, and that become the enabler, and that's where most of us as an organization got successful while being into that COVID period. I think that has been a real change or shift in mindset of the people to really adopt technologies, right? So also, if you would be happy to learn one of the reports I was going through, that 84% staffing leaders want to adopt technology or digital transformation initiatives vis-a-vis to 25% 2 years back. So I think that is the impact of COVID or the mindset which has drastically changed over a period of last couple of years. So my next question, emanating from here itself. So if I have to ask you, Vijay, what should leaders keep in mind when deciding on investing in digital transformation, or what should they be careful about it?
I think, like I mentioned in the first part of my answer, is that I think first and foremost, I think leaders should accept change. I think one of the biggest challenges is while a lot of leaders can say, I want to be digital and I want to drive transformation, but very reluctantly they execute it. And I
Right.
think when that happens, you will see a lot of effort getting lost. And I think so, first and foremost, I think leaders and The board has to accept that there should be change, and change should be continuous. It should not be a one-time event. Number two, uh, we need to know what is a unit metric of an organization. So across the processes that an organization runs, you will have to arrive at what are the unit metrics that define those processes. And it is through those unit metrics that you can identify what are the efficiencies to build on. So today, if the number of calls a recruiter makes, or the number of onboards a recruiter makes, or the number of interviews that a candidate gives to an offer, number of emails that a team sends. I'm using recruiting as an example, Alok. Uh, each of them is a unit metric, but
Right.
not all of them the organization wants. So you'll have to define what are the unit metrics that define your outcome, and basis that every improvement in those metrics should therefore automatically become an impact to the organization outcome. So number two is defining your unit metrics that create an impact to the organization. The third one is to know what is the impact it's creating in the short run, what is the impact it's creating in the long run. Now this is a not just a P&L item, it's a balance sheet item, it's an OPEX item, it's a CAPEX item, it's also cash here. You have to pay, you have to, if you want the best, you need to pay. You at the same time, does it create an impact for you short term? Does it create an impact for you long term? Are you replacing a process? Are you enabling a processes? So you need to have, as a leader, a set of frameworks to ensure that these questions are all answered. And if once you define those questions and answers, and there are multiple frameworks available, but once you know these 5 or 6 larger questions, then you would know what is your appetite to make this change, right? So there may be things which today you may not want to touch. There may be
Right.
things that you want to leverage. And which is why even if you look at HRMS as a portfolio today, the HRMS suite today is broken down into multiple different modules. So that consumers may say, I don't want to touch payroll. I like the way payroll is being run, but I'd like to touch ATS and I want to spend more time there. Somebody might say that I want to touch the entire HRMS application. So the need of the employer or the need of the company or the enterprise or the leader has to be defined. Again, this is where many people go wrong, Alok, is the fact that they try to shift too much too quickly and they
Right.
don't realize the impact it may have at the organization, at the underlying layer as well. The fourth piece is to know financially what is it that you're committing, tenure or time, how much are you committing, and your leadership bandwidth, how much you're able to commit. Again, a lot of time people, the first 2 points are easy. It can be done on an Excel sheet. The amount of project timelines that you need to do and the product amount of cost that you need to incur. But many people make the mistake of the third one, which is your leadership
Right.
bandwidth. They would assume that, oh, a project team will create a project team and they will do it.
Right.
I'll review once a month. But I can tell you in many of the platforms today, especially critical platforms, if the leadership bandwidth is not spent in the implementation,
Right.
9 out of 10 times it will fail. So it
Right.
has to be reviewed consistently. It has to be governed consistently. Only then, because as organizations like yours and many other large organizations get to know the culture of the company, to know the processes of the company, and to know what is the mindset of the company becomes very critical. And that can only come from the leaders themselves. As such. So I think that is also very critical in defining what should be, how would one go to digital effort. And last but not the least, I think it's about understanding the core competencies of your partner.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Again, when you meet multiple suppliers, when you meet multiple partners, you hear, you read, you kind of set a very high bar of expectation, which is
Right.
good. It's very, very good to have that bar of expectation. But if you have not communicated that to your partner and you don't relate to the eventual product that's coming to you will always be in a position saying, oh, this is not what I wanted. And I think it's very, very important, last but not least, to ensure that you clearly communicate what is the bar that you have set for that product or for that tool or for that service. And it's the same that goes with me when I go to customers. My only intention, if a customer says, I want to hire a person in 2 days, I can always tell a customer, yes, I will give it to you in 2 days. But it's also better to be realistic to say, maybe for these skills, it may take a week. So please do. So we set the expectations right and we ensure that we execute against those expectations. Otherwise, it's very easy to fall prey if you're communicating wrong. I hope that
I
makes
think you're
sense.
absolutely you're bang on. Actually, what you said makes huge difference because what you mentioned about change is not one time or really you should set your metrics and your target, the what you want to really achieve through the platform. So if you see our experience, because we work or deal with variety of customers in various regions of the world, and we have seen that through our experience, many times a leader, as you rightly mentioned, they limit their maybe digital transformation strategy initiatives to number one, creating the budget for it, and also in the decision making of buying the platform. As you mentioned, the third part, which is how you have to create your bandwidth for driving it, is generally largely missed by them, and they keep it to the down the line people, and sometimes the communication which you mentioned about is not clear what you really want to achieve, and then you lose out on what really you want to get the output in terms of return on investment on the platform, and that is always a question mark, and that's where, as you mentioned, that how you have to set expectation bar should be high, but at the same time you have to be practical enough that how you need to really implement down the line. And that takes me to another question. Before I take up this question, I tell you, as you mentioned, many times when driving that option strategy, which is very, very key for any leader to see that how you really need to achieve the output or return on investment. As a platform solution provider, we also have seen that or witnessed that change in mindset. When I was talking to you, the people were initially reluctant. We also saw that user experience and interface, and now the mobile responsiveness is the key. When you are expected to work from anywhere, expected to work from any device is also another add-on value. But I think as a solution provider, we always take care of that part now much more than before, the user experience and interface. But however, at the same time, when we talk about the adoption strategy, which you have touched upon is some part. So when you look at in your organization, in Quess, when you have been adopting platforms like Talent Recruit or any other platform which you've been using like HRMS or other payroll solutions, which is an ongoing activity, So keeping in mind both employee and management expectation, how do you drive in your organization the something which you need to drive that outcome or ROI? Of course, you touched upon some part there earlier.
So I think you said it in your point earlier. I think which is very near and dear to me is that anything new has to create a new experience. I think it's so important today that the user, whoever they may be, results in enjoying the platform. We work with, we see Netflix, we see Prime, we see sports. It's all about experience today and
Right.
how you can gain that experience. And if we can create that experience in a platform at office or wherever we are, right? I think that surmounts everything else. And I think that's why there is so much pressure today for also just the look and feel of things. An older Vijay, 10 years ago, if you had asked me, I would have said it's all about being functional. Very important, even today, extremely important to be functional. But that overarching layer of experience is extremely critical today because the user expects it. The user wants to feel good when he or she logs in. The user wants to feel good when he finds the process simplified. The whole format of gamification today is becoming a rage because the fact that the user wants to feel that they are more involved, they are more engaged. I always use this example of in an HR world, in a company today. When you hire someone, you individually work with a candidate and you hire that person. Even when you exit someone, you individually exit a person.
Right.
But however, during the time when the employee is with you, the engagement is mass. It's a policy run by the company. It is an experience across, it's same, all policies remain the same. Now, I know we're very far from becoming individual centric to every
Right.
employee, but really, when you're hiring someone individually and exiting someone individually, at some level of HR, there should also be an individual focus on each employee. For example, learning. A learning need of employee A will be very different from a learning need of employee B. But yet, a lot of organizations create a training calendar and say this is a learning for all people in this level. I'm just giving an
Right.
example.
Yep.
Similarly, now uh, may sound hard, but when two employees log on to the same platform, their needs may be different. And
Right.
therefore, allowing platforms to be bespoke, customized to that needs is something which I believe is important. And today, a lot of people are doing well in this. I must add, I think, including your platform and a lot of other platforms, uh, it's really becoming more engaging, and I think that's good. Second is how do you stay ahead of the game, right? So the reason why many organizations outsource their product, outsource the tool, or work with partners on tool development is because they want to share their thinking hats with the partner. So I may not have all 8 hours or 9 hours in a day in my work life to think about the tool. I may give an hour or two, but I'm also partnering with you so that you can also join me in my thinking. And so as you improve the product, it improves my work as well. And I think many a time the build versus buy strategy comes from that. I can choose to build, but can I continue to remain relevant? I don't know. But if I buy, I somewhere at the back of my mind know that my partner will do the thinking for me and therefore stays relevant as well. So I think that's a very, very important part outside of experience, knowing experience, asking the partner to co-partner with you to build and to be innovating consistently and staying relevant. And third, uh, can the partner think of the business outcomes? I think again, many a time we tend to fail because it does not talk to our end goals.
Right.
I can give you examples where today, when I onboard a resource into a customer, I charge them on a successful onboard. But I have interviewing platforms that charge me on interview. So
Right.
there's one side which is on outcome and another side on transaction,
Right.
right? And if one of the cost shift changes, it'll impact one of the other, right?
Agree.
So sometimes it's important to the partner to also know what is. And
Agree.
last but not the least, I think it's also about not getting subdued by overarching items in the world. Whether it's a chat GPT or whether it's
Right.
blockchain or personalized attention and stuff like that. I think you have to do, but it has to stay within the focus of what we can achieve together.
I think absolutely bang on you are, because involving the people who have to use the platform at different layers, downline is very, very key. And the communication really help there. And if they can find their objective, what is the purpose and how, of course, as you mentioned, the needs of different people using the platform is different, and of course, most of the platform, they go, solutioning basis their roles, basis the work they really need to do and follow up through the platform. I think you touched upon one of the very, very interesting questions used to be 2014 to 2016, buy versus build. We used to hear this question a lot, okay, why you should buy versus why you should build. And you rightly answered it. Okay, now the it has shifted, the building is no more a option, when you have to look at something long term, because your business should be enabled through a platform which is not your key business, because then you cannot keep on investing into the platform building. So what is important to really ally with the right partner who can think like you and who can basically give you something which you can't even think, so which can help you to one, automate end-to-end process, bring some new revolutionary changes, maybe AI, machine learning, conversational communication using, robotic recruiter, where, the communication becomes easy, automated with an intelligence bot. As you mentioned, one of the key guy you have hired is to identify various bots. I think that's where the world is heading on, where the leaders want to identify what they need to transform as a digital strategy, transformation strategy, and ally the right partner. And of course, once the goals are set, expectations are set between management and employees who are going to use the platform, the results and outcome and ROI is going to be substantially different. I'm pretty confident that what insight you gave to various organizations who want to really go for initiating implementation of technologies, being a staffing and recruiting organizations or adopting already existing platform. They will hugely benefited with what insight you gave today, because as you mentioned, the leadership bandwidth should be not only limited to the buying process, but also in the adoption and communication process. And that is an ongoing process, not a one time. Uh,
And implementation.
Absolutely, implementation, and that's a very, very key aspect. And thank you very much, Vijay. I think this podcast will really be helping a lot of people in our industry, and you being industry leader, hearing from you, making more sense. Because the people look upon you, how your transformative journey helped, Quest to go as a world leader and one of the largest employers in Asia Pacific. And continued success going to be there as you have been continuously adding value through digital transformation strategy. And really appreciate for being on the very first podcast what we have in our series Transcend. And I'm sure that for our viewers who is going to view this episode, we are going to come up with more such insightful sessions with industry leader and also with you from time to time. And thank you very much, Vijay,
My
for
pleasure,
being
Alok.
part
It's an
of this
absolute pleasure. I
initiative.
look forward to following the Transcend series that you've started, and look forward to hearing from the other leaders as well. Um, you're on verge of becoming the next Stalio and field glass of India. So looking forward for you, seeing you in that journey. So all the very best to you and your team, and continue to the great work, and wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All the very best.
Thank you. Bye bye.